Hi everybody, and welcome to another segment of AstrologyAnswers.com's weekly forecast. My name is Terence Scardino. The week begins on Monday, January the 4th, 2021. The moon is in practical, work-oriented Virgo, with the sun in pragmatic Capricorn, both earth signs. Good way to start the new work week with the new year. Plus, discerning, decision-making Mercury will be aligned with powerful Pluto. Pluto rules the underworld. So this is a really good day with the mind, Mercury, to go deep for studying, for researching, for investigation. We're doing a lot of introspection and deep inner work. Now, on Tuesday, the moon will have moved into more sociable, harmonious Libra for a couple of days, and in the very early morning, Pacific Standard Time, the moon will be in harmony with that expansive Jupiter and that pragmatic Saturn that are still hovering close together. And that's going to help. The moon represents that emotional tone. There's going to be a more sense of stability. As we get into Wednesday, the moon is in fair-minded Libra, but it's going to be in a challenging aspect to transforming Pluto and discerning Mercury. The moon is emotional and subjective, and when it's in conflict with Mercury, which is rational energies, there's a lot of this emotional fluctuation and indecisiveness and could create a lot of mood swings, especially with Pluto hitting compulsive Pluto. So it's kind of an emotionally intense day. Part of that is also Mars, that planet of drive and ambition, is finally leaving fiery Aries from the previous 6 months because it went retrograde several months ago. And Mars on January the 6th is going to enter into Taurus, earthy Taurus, until March the 3rd. So this January, February, having aggressive, assertive Mars in Taurus, Taurus is material, it's grounded, it's practical. So much can finally get accomplished as we slowly go after achieving our goals. But there's this big energy shift, and that could be throwing some of us off. Now, Thursday, now the moon has entered into intense, passionate Scorpio. But it's also going to be in a stressful angle early in the morning, Pacific time, to worrisome Saturn. But an hour or two later, it's going to be an optimistic, expansive Jupiter. By noon, early afternoon, Pacific Standard Time, the moon is going to be in opposition or interacting with others with unpredictable Uranus. Now that could trigger exciting breakthrough events, but it could also trigger a lot of emotional upsets. So there's a lot of continued more instability and fluctuation. Friday, there is even more of a change because discerning communication Mercury, describing what is on our minds, has been in Capricorn for the last few weeks. Capricorn, very pragmatic, business-oriented. But on Friday, it's moving into Aquarius. Mercury in Aquarius for the next several weeks is being more interested in all things Aquarius. Technology, inventions, innovation, the future. Mercury in Capricorn could be a little bit more heavy, serious, but Mercury in Aquarius, we are more progressive, idealistic, and thinking out of the box. So that's going to uplift our spirits over these next several weeks. But also pleasure-seeking Venus is moving into Capricorn on Friday at the same time for the next several weeks. Venus is what we desire, and being in Capricorn, it's the desire to make money, to have work stability. But this is also very favorable for relationships, since Venus is the planet of love and marriage. And being in Capricorn, wanting a relation, more of a commitment, really wanting to take on more responsibilities in a relationship. But also on Friday, with all this Mercury changing signs, Venus changing signs, the Sun is going to be in harmony with Neptune. Sun-Neptune is very, can trigger a lot of the imagination, compassion, creativity. It's great for intuition. Now, that Sun-Neptune, you might be feeling more inclined to help those in need. That Sun-Neptune can be very charitable. But also, it's a very busy day on Friday. Discerning communication Mercury, as it just went into Aquarius, it's going to be in tension with ambitious Mars. So that Mercury-Mars, your mind is going to be much more heated. Got to be careful about making impulsive, rash decisions. But you can accomplish a lot of mental work with that Mercury-Mars. But this is a Friday. There's so much change going on. It's best to breathe, meditate, and think before making any important decisions. Saturday, now the moon has moved into expansive, optimistic Sagittarius for the weekend, and pleasure-seeking Venus will be in harmony with assertive, physical Mars. Venus-Mars can trigger romance, can trigger great entertainment, festivities for a party. That Venus-Mars is very great for this creative passion. But remember, with all that moon in Sagittarius that wants to expand and hang out with friends and be very playful and adventurous, with that Venus-Mars, and it's Saturday, there's a lot of people are wanting to get out there and celebrate and enjoy the good life. But we've got to remember to socially distance until we get the vaccine, and discerning Mercury will align with pragmatic Saturn. So with all that passion, the positive Mercury-Saturn is being practical, sensible, and being able to connect, have fun, but also play it really practical and safe. On Sunday, the moon continues in that expansive Sagittarius, but it's going to be in a difficult angle to nebulous Neptune by very late morning into early afternoon Pacific Standard Time. That can be in the positive. Is a strong desire for charity. That Neptune is that empathetic, caring energies. But on more mundane, everyday tasks, you might be distracted. You may not be able to follow through because you could be very spacey, as I like to say, unfocused. Now, before I sign off, I want to remind you, I'm available for the one-question offer for a nominal fee. You can request it by going to the homepage of astrologyanswers.com, clicking on the tab that says Advisors, scrolling down until you find my name and click on my name. Remember, the time of birth is always really important to get the best results. So I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you next week with my next segment. Until then, be safe and well.